Hey guys, what's up? So today I am answering two questions that have come in either through my private messages on Instagram, comment on YouTube, or by email. And they're super common questions, and that's why I'm putting it into a video because I think it needs a more detailed explanation. And those questions are, number one, how did I eat before I was on a GLP-1? Was it different? Was it the same? I'm going to go into detail about that because I think it's pretty important and interesting. And the second question is, am I still on a GLP-1 in maintenance? If so, what's the dose? Why? How has it helped me? Those types of things. So let's get into it. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. So glad to have you here. I have been on a GLP-1 since 2022. It took me almost a year to get to maintenance, and I've now been in maintenance for over 2 years. Now, I started my weight loss journey in the spring of 2022, but didn't get on the GLP-1 until September. I hit my goal weight in May, and of 2023. I've been maintaining ever since, and it's been a great learning opportunity, journey, etc. So let's get into it. Now, how did I eat before I was on a GLP-1? The short answer is I've always eaten healthy foods pretty much my entire life. It's kind of the way I grew up. I've been eating lots of vegetables and protein, and I'm sorry, there's a bee. Lots of protein, salmon, steak, chicken, cottage cheese. But I did also eat breads and pastas and rice and a lot of starchy types of foods. And, you know, I think like most people that go on a GLP-1, I had a huge appetite, and it was a never-ending appetite. So I never really got full. I had a huge appetite. I would eat a lot. I remember I would sit with other people who were, quote, normal eaters, and I could out-eat them. I was always hungry. And I would like mentally have to tell myself, okay, I'm done. But I think part of the problem for me was that I ate more than my body required, and it was really hard to put the reins on it. There are times I did and other times I didn't, but those appetite and satiety signaling was so off with me. And it wasn't until, getting on a GLP-1 that I understood that what I was going through, this food noise, the cravings, the unending appetite, well, other people were having that too, because I thought I was the only one that was having this issue. And it was kind of lonely. I thought there was something wrong with me. And I never really voiced it to anyone. But all of a sudden I get on a GLP-1 and it's like, a switch happens. If you know, you know. It's like that light switch just happens one day or a few hours after taking it or whenever it happens, and you're like, oh my God, this is what it feels like to get full. This is what it feels like to be like a normal eater. And it's so liberating and so amazing. And I could eat something and then be full, actually. That's never happened. And then my mind goes on to other things. It's not always thinking about food all the time. When's my next meal? How much am I getting? Is this going to make me full? The portion comes to you in the restaurant and you're like, that's not going to be big enough. Like, those things always were happening with me inside my head constantly. So I ate pretty well. I just ate too much. Now, the other thing was that I have been a sugarholic, chocoholic since I was a child. I remember when I was like 9 or 10 years old, like begging my mom to go and get some M&Ms at night because I was like desperate for this chocolate something at night, and that was like my favorite thing was M&Ms. And when she wouldn't go to the store to get it. I was so upset. I'm like, it's such a strange memory to come back. But I've always been someone who has had dessert at night, always. I might be able to push it off during the day and not have the sweets then because I knew I would get it at night, but I always would have a dessert at night. And even if I was like eating really well or within a calorie restriction during the day, the night would just ruin me. I just, decision fatigue, exhaustion, wanting a sweet, you know, whatever it was, like, and you know, that could put you, that sweet right there is like what? Could be 500, 600 or more calories, and you multiply that by 7 times a week, and yeah, that's going to get in the way of losing or even maintaining. And that was, you know, that was me back then. Now, fast forward, getting on a GLP-1, and I kind of ate the same things, and all of a sudden I started losing weight. But what also changed, my food has evolved. It has absolutely changed, because one of the things that I really had a hard time staying away from pre-GLP-1 were the starches. I love bread, pasta, rice, anything that's like starchy or crusty or desserty or sugary or whatever. I also did drink. Not like a huge amount, although I will say, you know, post-divorce when I was 41 and I was in the dating, you know, scene, yeah, I was definitely drinking because that was kind of part of the scene. If you know on this one. You go out, you're having dates, you know, you're out with friends, and it's just part of the scene. You're definitely drinking. I was definitely drinking a lot more then than probably any other time in my life. But since meeting my husband and getting married and so forth, the drinking definitely went down. But I still was a casual drinker. I would still have maybe 2 to 4 glasses of wine a week, and that could definitely inhibit fat loss. But I mean, I enjoyed it and I justified it and all that stuff. But getting on a GLP-1, a lot of this changed. It changes your brain chemistry, the wiring in the brain, and it's great. Like, it's so amazing, because I lost my taste for alcohol about 2 months in. I was able to wean myself off of those desserts as well. So since about November of 2022, I have not had a drink of alcohol. I've not had any added sugar, no desserts, nothing. And that's coming from someone that would literally have a dessert every night. Cookies, cake, chocolate chip cookies were my big go-to. Anything chocolate was my go-to. So tempting. I would try to restrain myself and only have small portions, but I'd still have it. And I knew that that was a habit that I needed to break if I could. I wanted to really break that dessert habit, because I knew that it was going to get in the way of me achieving my goal weight. Now, everyone's different, and you might be able to keep that in or incorporate a dessert or whatever. But I knew for me, it was just very triggering, and I wanted the freedom. I didn't want to be hearing that food noise or having a craving or feeling like that dessert at night was a habit that I had to do, which for years it has been. So I really had to be intentional and very diligent about breaking that habit, which I was able to do. I weaned myself down, and I think also with the help of the GLP-1, I just didn't want it anymore. And so it's just become a lot easier, and I don't feel deprived. In the past, if I did something like this, I would feel deprived or resentful about it, or other people can have it and I can't. And then of course I would boomerang back and be like, well, fine, I'm just going to have it anyway. And and it just didn't work. So I'll give you an example. I went on vacation, and I do have a video about more details about my vacation. And I went to an all-inclusive resort in the Dominican Republic with my husband. And if you've been to an all-inclusive, you know what the food is like there. It's almost like 24/7 food, lots of great food, lots of desserts. And in the buffet area, boy, do they have a lot of selections. And I mean, you can have as much as you want, anything you want. And if you are a chocoholic like me, there's a lot of different chocolate things out there that could be so tempting. But we went to this vacation this past spring, and I still didn't want to have dessert because I also felt that was triggering. So what I did instead was I planned for my sweet at night by taking a protein bar with me. So I had a protein bar for every night that we were at the resort, so that if I really wanted something, I had something. And the desserts weren't tempting, and I didn't restrain myself, and I didn't have to have willpower really, and it wasn't a negative connotation. I purposefully didn't look at the desserts because why tempt myself and think about how lovely they would taste, because I know they still would be. I didn't look at them. I didn't pay them any attention. I knew they were there, and if I really, really, really wanted them, I knew I could have them and I'd be okay with it. But it was more powerful for me to not have them and genuinely be okay with it. And I was, and I didn't miss it. And so at night after dinner, I would have my protein bar. My husband he would get his dessert because he still likes his desserts. And he would get his dessert. We would go back to the room, and he'd have his dessert, and I'd have mine, and I'd still have my nightly green tea, because that's kind of what's been my replacement, is my green tea. And that's what I'd have. And even on vacation, I still chose similar foods that I normally eat every day, with a few different things added in because it was vacation and I wanted to experience different foods. But I stuck to the main core, which is protein-centric and vegetables, and keeping my starchy carbs lower, because that's what works for me. People, especially with insulin resistance, they do find that when you keep your starchy carbs lower, especially through weight loss, you will have better insulin sensitivity and you will lose body fat a lot more consistently and faster. So that's what I did during weight loss. In maintenance phase right now, really the only thing that's changed, protein stayed the same, vegetables stayed the same, but the only thing that's really increased are my starchy carbs. So I've increased my calories to maintenance level, and I've increased some more starchy carbs, but I still kind of put a limit on it, because even on a GLP-1, I can out eat it if I really wanted to. I may not feel comfortable, but I know that I could out eat it, but I also know that my body's pretty comfortable where it's at, and I'm able to maintain at a certain weight and be comfortable with the foods I'm eating, with the activity that I'm getting. So hopefully that answers that question. You can eat super healthy, but if you're still eating too much, you're not going to lose weight, or you could even put on weight, which is what I did. And the other thing I wanted to mention was, prior to all this, I didn't track anything. So I wasn't tracking. I wasn't really, really aware of how much I was eating. And that was so eye-opening for me. I tracked years and years and years ago when I was on Weight Watchers, and wrote everything down in the point system and all that stuff. And it worked back then. Maintaining didn't work, but losing the weight part really worked. And I started tracking again, even though I really didn't want to track, but I knew it was going to help me. And once I started tracking, it did help me. I became more aware of what and how much I was eating, and I was more accountable to it. And it was easy. It was so much easier than I thought it was going to be. And I still track to this day because it works. It just keeps me where I am. I'm not a slave to tracking. but I actually enjoy it. It's just part of my routine, my habits, my customs that just keep me where I'm at. And it actually just gives me freedom to be where I am right now. So that's that question. The second question that I'm always asked is, am I still on a GLP-1 now? How much am I on? Have I tried playing around with the dose if I am? And I'm going to answer that question. So yes, I am still on a GLP-1. It is Zepbound's. I'm on 12.5 milligrams of a weekly dose of Zepbound, and I have been for over 2 years now. I was up to 15 milligrams at my highest dose, and I actually started feeling like hungry on that dose. So I decided to drop it down to 12.5, and it felt better to me. And I have not dropped it down because it just feels right to me. I'm able to maintain where I'm at. I get hungry, I do eat, I get full, all the signaling is good. So why mess with something that's working? There's no reason to. Now, I have played around with the timing of it. So I have tried to stretch it out to up to 10 days. So I've gone 8, 9, and 10 days, but it's not as comfortable. Like I feel like the food noise starts to come back. My appetite really starts to increase a lot more. And I always find myself going back to that 7 days. And that just feels like right to me. I have also tried to split my dose. So I have split it, and I've done the 12.5 2 or 3 times a week. So that in total, I get the 12.5, but I split it up and did it like every, 2 or 3 days or something, just to see if that made me feel any different, but it doesn't. Didn't make me feel different, and I just liked getting that full dose all at once. It's a lot more work to split it too, and to have to think about taking multiple shots in a week. But if it made me feel better or kept my levels a little more even, then I would probably keep doing it, but I don't think it did. I just feel good on that 7 days, 12.5. Could that change in the future? Absolutely. I think my body's still changing and evolving and getting healthier, and that could change in time. But right now, the 12.5, 7 days a week work. Now, the only thing that might change, or potentially would change, is that I am now being forced to go to Wegovy for my insurance, because my insurance does pay for it. I do qualify for the Zepbound. But my insurance is Caremark CVS, and they have stated they are no longer covering the Zepbound. I did try appealing it. They denied it. I'm not sure why, because I've been on Wegovy before. It stopped working. It worked, and then it stopped. Then I went to Zepbound, and it's been working great. So I'm a little bit nervous, I'll be honest, about going to Wegovy, but it is covered. So I kind of feel like I should maybe give it a shot, no pun intended, because it is covered and the monthly payment is like $25. Because alternatively, if I try to appeal again for Zepbound or Mounjaro and I get denied, then my alternative is going to be to pay out of pocket to either do compounding or to get the vials of Zepbound directly, and that's about $500 a month. It's a huge cost difference, and I'm sure you guys know if you're doing that. So it's a huge cost difference. However, I will do it. If I find the Wegovy's not working, food noise is coming back, whatever, I will do what I need to do and pay what I have to pay, because my health, mental, emotional, and physical well-being is number one to me, above and beyond everything else. It is number one. Obviously, I got to pay my bills and all that stuff. But if I don't have my health, I don't really have anything, Everything falls apart at that point, right? When your health starts to fall apart, like the emotional, the mental, never mind the physical, the food noise, like I don't want that anymore. I love being where I'm at right now. I love it. It's the first time in my life to have this food freedom, to have the food noise freedom. I'm not going to give that up. And yes, I do all the other things. I do all the lifestyle stuff. I eat really well. I'm happy with what I'm eating. I work out. I've built muscle, which also helps with, insulin sensitivity. I do a lot of walking. So I do all the things, but I still need the shot to keep me healthy. I still need to do it because when I've tried going a little extra days, I start getting that food noise coming back. I start feeling like I get a craving for something, and I want to just keep things the way they are. They're very balanced and it's just working out really well. So yes, my eating has changed. I'm still really consistent with my GLP-1 shot every week. I have never missed a shot, ever. I am super consistent with that. I try to be really consistent with everything. I think that is like the key. Consistent with your shot, eating, nutrition, working out, mindset, and all those things, and just keep working on the consistency, because if you can be 80-90% consistent, most of the time, those blips, we all have them, right? Those blips, I didn't work out for a day, or I didn't get my steps in for a day, or I had a big meal, whatever it is, it's fine. It's meaningless in the whole scheme of things. It literally is meaningless. The consistency long term is what has gotten me to where I am. It's what's kept me where I am right now. So if you can relate to any of the things that I'm saying, comment below. I would love to hear. I love to hear the comments, questions. Again, you can PM me in Instagram or email me or leave a comment or a question. And if it's something that is more than I can just answer in a comment, I'll make it into a video. And if you have a question, chances are other people have the same question. So make sure that you like, subscribe, hit the bell button so you always know when the next video is coming. And thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. Stay strong.